way. Our grand finals of Kung Fu Cup number 27. In the bottom left-hand side, our red Terran player, ByuN. Up against the blue Protoss in the top right from Raise Your Edge, it is Zest. As we set up into a one final matchup here in the Kung Fu Cup today. Gotta tell you guys, the Kung Fu Cup, I always talk about the Kung Fu Cup, and you know, like I'm a big storyteller kind of guy, right? And what's really funny for me is that the Kung Fu Cup actually, ByuN never really did well in these Kung Fu Cups back in 2018 or so, when they were around. Like, ByuN just, it's funny because you kind of expected ByuN to be kind of part of them, but then he never really was. ByuN was like, 2018 was such a weird year for ByuN. If I'm not mistaken, 2018 was when he was kind of hovering around. Like, you know, he came off of the 2016 Global Finals win. He had a good 2017. He didn't really win much, but he had like a lot of top finishes. In 2018, he really seemed to struggle, and he really didn't play in any weekly cups in 2018. ByuN, like, he really took a step back from them, which is very unlike ByuN. You know, that was kind of one of the big defining features of what ByuN was always doing. Like, this weekly cup, that weekly cup. So it was crazy when I looked this up. But ByuN actually, when it comes to Kung Fu Cup weeklies, ByuN has only ever had one appearance in the top 4, and that was at the end of 2018. He got top 4. He lost out to, funnily enough, at that time it was Parting 2-0, who then went on to lose to Zest in that finals. And that was the only time ByuN's ever played one of these Kung Fu Cups. Or got to the top 4 of one of these Kung Fu Cups. And here he is now, 2 years later, in Kung Fu Cup number 27 of 2020. This is the 55th official Kung Fu Cup weekly. And, yeah, here he is just less than 2 years later. And in the finals against Zest, who has won 5 of these events before. He is the third highest, he's the player who's won the third highest player to win. How do you say that? He's the third most winning player in these cups. Here is second place with 7 wins, and Innovation has a ridiculous 12 victories in this event. Zest has 5 ahead of Dark, Gumiho, Rogue, and Solo on 4. It's I mean, what I really love is I love, like I say, I love these storylines. It's been a while for Zest. This is his first finals since April in the Kung Fu Cup, and he did win that one. That was the last time he won. He's had 5 semifinals since then. Like I say, I like these storylines. I think they're fun to see, the story of little events like this, because I think for a lot of people, you tune in every week, you're like, oh, Kung Fu Cup's on, cool. But, Wikipedia documents all of this. We've got the history of the Kung Fu Cup, and like I say, I really like it. So I like to bring it up, I like to mention it, and that's your storyline for today. Going into this finals, as ByuN looks for his first ever weekly win. Absolutely can beat Zest. He's played a lot of TvP against Zest in the last month or so. If I actually, let me just look it up as well. I know I'm doing a lot of statistics talking and relaying storylines and so on right now to set the scene of this as an Oracle opening that kills the Reaper. So at least you get that confirmation as ByuN. They have also played a fair amount, not as much as ByuN and Solo have played, but they've gone back and forth. They've played 6 times since ByuN returned from the military. And in those 6 meetings, they have gone back and forth. ByuN 2-0, then Zest 3-0. ByuN 4-2, then Zest 4-2. ByuN 4-3, then Zest 3-1. And here we are now in the 7th meeting since ByuN's military return. And he is, I mean, if the pattern continues, it's time for ByuN to win. So take the stats for what you want them to be, and let's enjoy this TvP. Again, very standard opening with the Stargate into an Oracle. Just the Reaper going down, and very passive from the Terran player. We don't even see the Widow Mines moving out or anything. That's why I've been able to tell you all these stories, because nothing is actually happening on the map just yet. As this factory lifts off, moves away from the tech lab, Raven will be popping out fairly soon. And then we look at the future of this, which is potentially going to be moving in toward an aggressive push. It is 2 more racks before we see a 3rd CC, so definitely looking for something around 7 minutes with stim and combat shields. Blink is going to be done by then, Charge will be done by then. And that's how Zest wanted to play in the quarterfinals earlier against Dream. He played a lot of heavier gateway, Blink Stalker charge, focus into Storm. He actually played some really cool games against Stream earlier. If you actually missed those, I would say watch the VOD, because they were very interesting matches and very fun back and forth games as well, including a 20+ minute one, which was very tense, very close, but Zest able to close it out in the end. Ended up on Disruptor Carrier, that kind of god composition that you want to get to. Let's do see a Marine going down. Oracle continues to sit around left-hand side. Stalker's pressing down to the bottom here. We've got a Revelation going to hit the bio on the ramp. Stalker's just going to walk up and say hello. And that's a dead bunker just like that. So Zest gets a good start. As he shows up, picks off a bunker. There's going to be a Widow Mine here that gets picked off as well. Charge starting, +1 on the way. A few extra gates in production. We do see a medevac actually leaving. Like I say, it's that exact setup that we saw Zest playing for earlier today. Lots of Zealots, lots of Stalkers. Will go Temple Archives behind it. Generally, as he takes this gas, the Temple Archives looks to set up. Well, at least that was the plan earlier. Medevac continues to the far right, as we do have the Oracle showing up. The Stalkers getting going. Oh, that's a nice stim. Trying to catch the Oracle, but Zest saw it and he turned around. Alright, let's see what ByuN can do. Bit of multi-prong time. And you see this battery cannon combo in the main is just not in time, so ByuN gets in. I actually wouldn't mind him just go. Yeah, I was going to say, I was thinking maybe getting rid of this for future, but actually, just go for probes. You know, you can kind of, he gets rid of this as well. He gets a couple workers. The main thing is he actually stays in this main base for a while, because then it opens up the potential to come down over here and to get damage done. Where is the Raven? Am I crazy? Did the Raven die? I missed the Raven dying. So these Stalkers must have grabbed the Raven as this army came across the map. So Raven has fallen. Apologies for missing out on that one, as you see ByuN. Well, I mean, not really gathering much up. There's just this one medevac and a couple of Marines, but looks like he wants to stay aggressive. Tries to catch the Oracle, doesn't get it. Revelation drops down again. Obviously, you've got the chance to jump up into the main base here, potentially. That's for sure an opportunity that he holds. A couple more Marauders coming in soon, as the Stalkers will be pushed back by a bit more bio. And these medevacs continue to the top side with the 3rd CC now setting up on the low ground. He's actually even building a Liberator. I think that's just another attempt to put some pressure on into the main base. Oracle comes in, drops a Revelation down. Wow, those Widow Mines do a pretty good job. They do good damage, and they also see these Zealots moving this way. I mean, well, at least now you know those Zealots are something you have to defend against back at home, right? Unless ByuN just didn't notice them. He's sending some units home. He's going to go for the big drop on the main. He's been kind of waiting for this, but Stalkers are there, and enough of them to be scary. Marauders try and take the opportunity to pick off a Colossus, but they don't find the right moment, really. And yeah, he's got units back at home. He sent a medevac or 2 home as well to help out with this, because he is just building Liberators. As his 3rd CC is not really ready to go just yet, so he's actually forgetting about his reinforcements. Needs to bring those across as well. As the Zealots show up, Liberator's going to siege. No Lib play across the map just yet. I'm excited to see what he can do with it, see if he can get some real value here. 8 SCVs, obviously 8 Zealots or so went down for this, so it's not a huge loss in terms of resources, but obviously now ByuN is going to be mining less, so it doesn't impact this fight. In fact, in terms for this upcoming fight, it maybe hurts Zest more, because in terms of current armies, it's 8 Zealots that went down for workers that have not yet had an impact on building this army. If we go around the top side, gonna get a siege up here and here. I think those libs could be kind of cool, but that was way further forward than I expected them to be. I think if the libs siege up like a little step back or so, this might have actually had a lot of success, just potential. Oh my god, the Widow Mines though. I know the Widow Mines were getting some good shots anywhere on the Stalkers, but they just blew up all the sentries as well, and I didn't realize there was even one left over. The Widow Mines have carried ByuN in this engagement. Another Widow Mine comes into play and helps him get rid of a few more Stalkers here. Now Zealots are trying to chase. The Liberators are going to set up. I mean, the Stalker count isn't that high to get rid of the Libs. The blink to the side it's going to work. Felt a bit odd. Felt like maybe you put you out of range of one of them, but it was okay. It worked out. Another Widow Miner 2 going down, and ByuN retreating. 51 SCVs in the game for him. Now an Armory and a second Engineering Bay. And he'll look for 2-2 upgrades, but he'll be behind on that. The problem is now you've got Zest in an aggressive position with Colossi. And the answers to Colossi at the moment, Liberators, which aren't really the best answer. If you had Liberator range and like 5 or 6 Libs, then sure. 2 or 3 Liberators and no Liberator range, it just doesn't really do it for me, I don't think, in this defense. Tries to save this Widow Mine, lets the other Widow Mines do their work, and the first few Zealots go down quickly. This Widow Mine got burrowed again. The Widow Mines have been amazing this game from ByuN. Truly spectacular stuff from those. I mean, I don't understand how some of them are even getting to shoot in the moments that they fire. Well, defense so far from ByuN is successful. Zest is still perusing around looking for the next opening. Widow Mines obviously don't fare well against the Colossus. Now ByuN is going to start a fight. There's no Zealots in this, so this front line may disintegrate a little bit more quickly than you expect. And the Stalkers from the other side as well, though. ByuN's maintaining an army supply lead in this. He pulls SCVs to fight the Stalkers on the top side, and he's got the Bio to push through on the bottom. He's going to get the Colossus. The SCV count hasn't even really dropped just yet because the Stalkers were fighting Bio units, so now, oh my god, he's going to chase with Marauders against pure Stalker. SCVs can go home. ByuN has just cleaned up this army. What a fight that was. Biggest issue, no Zealots. If there was Zealots there, then again, it just slows down the frontline breakdown, and he buys the Colossus so much more time to do way more. Now ByuN is up 50 army supply or so, depending on when you look at the supplies versus when the warp-in happens. But he's up a good chunk of army supply, with Liberator zone control available too, against 0 splash damage. You know what? Those Robos up the high ground, he doesn't go there. Oh, now he does. Hey, those Robos are big targets, right? I mean, you shut down the Colossus production, you are really working on nothing. I actually think that Pylon's a great pickoff because it shuts down the first Robo, and now you're just going to permanently cease Colossus production on that for at least the near future. Yeah, Zest actually cancels that Colossus because he just says, I don't think it's going to get out here. And if it doesn't get out, is it really worth putting the money in to try and finish it up? Widow Mines again, catching Stalkers as they blink across through the Liberation Zone. And now a Colossus pops. But look at the damage it's taking. It sits in Liberation Zone until it loses all of its shields. And now the Bio is just doing too much. The micro is pretty from Zest. It's keeping the Colossus alive, don't get me wrong. But is it doing enough to save him? I mean, that's a whole new question. ByuN will back away. 40 army supply advantage again. No detection currently available to deal with these Widow Mines, and yet Zest can't really afford to build an Observer because when he's got one, it gets caught on the way home. That's his only detection. Oh my god, it's not dying! The Liberator will try and get it. The Marine reaches it in the end. Oh my goodness, that was intense. Now we're going to be seeing 2-2 upgrades coming in from ByuN. Ghost Academy setting up as well. He's finally playing catch up on all the other bits and pieces of this game. I mean, the problem was, I was about to say, you can't afford to make a freaking Observer because you've got to get another Colossus out. Otherwise, you just lose on the ground army because you don't have the splash damage. Stalker's trying to set off the Widow Mines. The Warp Prism actually went down too, which is obviously massive because now you don't have the micro potential that was saving the Colossus previously. And again, you've got to make your decision as cute player using the Stalker the Colossus splash damage on the Stalker to help. I mean, yeah, you've got to make a decision. Another Colossus or a Warp Prism. You've already not built a Colossus to get an Observer out here. Super Battery actually goes down. That cannon in the battery that we saw in play earlier that we actually discussed for a little while. It's messy, but he gets himself the Colossus, and as long as the Colossus is going down, I truly believe that the rest of this is going to be okay. Now the Observer's here, though. You do start to lose a couple of these Widow Mines, and so ByuN gets pushed back again. 2-2 upgrades are done. He built a Ghost Academy. I'd love to see that come into play here as this Liberator just sits on the side and gets some probes. Just because the Ghosts would, even a couple Ghosts just do so much. You take the shields off nice and quickly. There's real value in that. I like this play from ByuN too. He says, well, this is the only Robo that's making stuff that's making my life suck right now, so kill that off and I'm in a good position. Yeah, you got to kill the other one off too, though. Otherwise, you just get repowered by a pylon. The only problem with this is that these medevacs are obviously kind of on their own, so they kind of have to just decide to get away. And now ByuN's lost a bit more army supply. The only thing I'd say is good for ByuN is that from this is obviously, again, you shut down the Robos, so you're only on one Colossus. So when you look at the numbers, what they don't tell you is that this is almost pure Stalker. And obviously pure Stalker count is nowhere near as effective as some of the other army compositions we've already seen out of Zest in this first game. So that's what we're looking at the moment, as we see Stalkers setting up down this bottom side, but a ByuN's going to turn, and Stalkers blinking back already. Getting away from that position, does not want anything to do with it. Coming through, I mean, yeah, Stalkers don't really get to fight ByuN. It's just not in the rules. The sentries are a big part, because you actually do need the force fields to stop the ByuN getting on top of the Colossus, but it's not going to be enough. The hallucination eats the Widowmine shot, though, and that's actually friendly fire onto the ByuN. That's why you make that hallucination. It's a cool play, it's just not enough, as ByuN eventually takes game number 1. Very close. Almost felt like he wasn't going to break Zest at points there, but he gets the job done in the end. Broadcast. As in the top left-hand side. We're going to game number 2. And in the lead of this series is the Red Terran player. In the top left-hand corner, let's give it up in the chat. Let's hear it for ByuN. That's a really fun game. I know it was messy. It wasn't a perfect game, but it was fun because it was intense. We didn't know that ByuN was necessarily going to win it until the GG came down. Like, we had our suspicions, right? But Zest was hanging on for a very long time. He made a really good fight out of it. Here's our blue pros on the bottom right-hand side. Important to remind you all what is up for grabs here in the Kung Fu Cup finals. $100 for second place. So both players will walk with at least $100 today. $200 if you win out and get first place. That is the prize money up for grabs. Not bad for a little weekly cup. Pretty much one of the best weekly cups we've got. Kung Fu Cup used to be $500. Used to be $300 first and $100 second, 50-50 third and fourth. Obviously, ESL Open Cup weeklies are now that same prize pool allowance as well for $200, $100, 50-50. We see those every Monday across all the regions. So this is pretty much the height of online weekly cups. Kung Fu Cup and the ESL weeklies. And just in case, I mean, I haven't said this in a while, but just in case you do watch this on your YouTube, you enjoyed that first game, and you want to watch more, consider subscribing on the YouTube channel. Just may as well mention that inside the game in case this series continues to be excellent and gets up on the YouTube channel. Always worth reminding everyone to... Well, reminding people to get reminded of when we have more. Bunker in the back from ByuN. A little bit worried because Zest does not look at this at all. And right now, I mean, okay, Bunker's just going to go up. So Bunker's going to go up now. The other side of this is that Zest is looking for the proxy. So as he starts a Stalker, he'll throw down the Stargate. ByuN obviously has no idea about that. And so you've got to be careful as ByuN. Now, the Reaper will get in the bunker. He will deny mining on this natural for a sizable amount of time. In fact, that's probably the first probe kill of the game right there. Oh, well, actually, the Stalker came out and came the right way right away. Then the Reaper misfired. So good response from Zest, seeing that and pulling it back. So never mind me, getting ahead of myself on the call. This is bad, though. There's no low ground pylon. So to be able to mine from this natural, you have to build a pylon, then a battery. Okay, he builds the battery high ground. That works. It's still not super great. I mean, I guess it reaches here. It's fine. The problem with not having the battery here, though, is if the battery was here, it can actually heal probes as they mine. I guess the good news is the SCV didn't stick around, so there's no repairing on this bunker. And right now, the probes will just long distances. There's the salvage. Reaper is actually going to be out of there. All right, well, now it comes down to this Oracle, which is heading into the main base. 2 Marines out, a second barracks from ByuN. It's a little bit more aggressive this time around off the bio. It's going to be a faster stim-pack and a bit more bio-focused. Definitely looking to deal some damage earlier. Goes Cyclone. I mean, that's really great. It's going to help a lot against this Stargate play. With 4 Marines already out, there shouldn't really be much economic damage taken. Because if you stick around in this mineral line, the Cyclone's going to pop. You're going to, lose health on the Oracle. You're going to be in trouble. Oh, well, that's actually the right play, just to go into the natural. But he missed targets, and he'll get 1 SCV on the bunker. That will be it. The Oracle is minimal at best. There is only 1 Oracle, though. And now we go into the Twilight Council as the follow-up from Zest. So very similar to the last game. He went single Oracle into that Twilight Council blink. So Zest is quite content with what he did last game. And I don't really disagree. I actually thought Zest was in a fine position, really came across the map looking strong. Just didn't find the right fight against ByuN. And that allowed ByuN to really allowed ByuN to really run away with the game at that point, obviously. I mean, he cleaned up everything at that stage. That was obviously a huge moment. Obviously, did a lot, as we do have our Oracle just going to grab the Reaper. I feel like that happened last game as well, so we're really seeing a bit of repeated action here. Yeah, a bit of deja vu when it comes to the builds and how things are playing out initially. Not on ByuN's side, obviously the stim pack and this 2-1-1 follow-up is obviously a lot more, a lot different from what he did last time. It's the Zest side of things that's a little bit deja vu-esque. You know, the Marine drop with Stim here, obviously it hits quick and there's only really Stalkers out to defend it, but Blink Stalkers are pretty good. Remember, Marines aren't doing masses of damage to Stalkers because they're not upgraded, you know, they don't have the +1 done. Stalkers are armored, so they take less damage in general. It's actually, those are really important things to keep in mind here, because it means these Marines, it might not feel like there's much preparation from Zest, but yeah, there's definitely not like straight up going to be like, oh, ByuN's just going to, you know, rock the world with this attack. Now, if the Stalkers are out of position, this is where it gets funky, because if the Stalkers are out of position, then it might do something. But then at the same time, the Marines are out of position to deal with the Stalkers. So what do you do, ByuN? What's the plan here? He's going to repair the bunker. And if the bunker holds, then brilliant, but it does not. Continues the Marines across the map. That's my question, right? Now he's going to get a high siege tank high ground. No high ground vision. And so the Stalkers, for the moment, have to back away. No high ground vision. I mean, the Oracle is is around. Drop into the main. Surely Zest has to realize something's up. Oh my god, he does not have energy for a recall in the main base either. ByuN is going to stim in, and that's going to be pro kills for supper, breakfast, dinner, and tea. Every meal of the day. Snacks in between as well. And he's going to get the battery here. He's going to get the pylon. So he's going to get the pylon on all the gateways. I actually like the pylon on the Twilight, though. Slow down charge. Stalkers did recall back, and I kind of like what he did here. It looked like he wanted to try and hold the ramp a little bit. He wanted to, but now not really able to. Well, some of the Stalkers got low. The blink was used, and the medevacs boost away. 8 probes killed. A huge amount of lost mining time. Gateways unpowered. Just huge disruption into the main base of Zest from ByuN. So ByuN delivers right there. As we'll see, the Marine tank medevac combo coming through. We see Zest continuing up the left-hand side. Tanks will siege already. And these few Marines going to get in on top of these rocks right now. So they're going to play down here. The Stalkers continue up to the left-hand side. I think they want to try and go in towards this. A couple tank shots firing. Stalkers already taking damage. Another couple of siege tanks will unsiege here and now push down to the bottom of the map. Observer sees where this army is going, and interestingly, Zest will just blink in for reinforcements. That's actually kind of dangerous. These units are low, and well, you saw what the Bio was able to do there. Actually got good damage done. He's going to stim again. The Stalkers are still here. It's not a bad call. He gets one more. It's a lot of stims, mind you, and so the medevacs are going to be, well, put to work, but they still have plenty of energy, so not so bad just yet. Stims down the ramp. Stalkers have to blink back already, and now we've got a third base. It's going to be under heavy fire. Stalker doesn't quite fall there. Obviously, with the siege tank setting up, that's when this becomes more dangerous. However, there's a lot of zealots now, and the charge is in place, so it's not a case of these siege tanks are just going to dominate everything, as the tanks do get sieged. Stalker's still out down on the bottom side. SCVs are pulling. Wow, ByuN's going to go for this, huh? Interesting. SCV pulls with siege tank armies are typically very interesting because the tanks will end up friendly firing the SCVs sometimes. Okay, well, let's go first then. Obviously, ByuN is making Zest think about which way he's going to come in from. The SCVs get to the front. The stim already happens, and here we go. Tanks need to target fire Stalkers, and it's exactly what they will do. The Zealots on the top side. Okay, this is really awkward, because the Zealots do get on top of the tanks, but from a weird angle, they have to run around the side, and then they get choked up. As the SCVs tank a lot of the Stalker shots, it's a dominating fight from ByuN. And now we've got, well, battery overcharge was apparently already used, and now these Zealots are warping in fairly low numbers, and the siege tanks are having their way. Charge was already on cooldown there, and now probes pull into this fight as well, and that's going to be a probe massacre. Obviously, a lot of SCVs went down because it was an SCV pull, but ByuN commits, looks good, and takes it 2-0. Take a break, because these guys, they set up the lobbies nice and quickly. They're excited for more ByuN versus Zest. Bottom left-hand side, up 2-0. ByuN is having fun. He's rocking this finals right now. He's having a good time for sure. As in the upper right corner, our blue Protoss from Raise Your Edge. Right now, he's not quite best, but he is still Zest. Someone actually wrote this in the YouTube comments the other day. They said, ByuN puts the F in ByuN. And I don't know if that really made any sense at all, but I did like the ByuN is fun sort of rhyme, so I'll take that one. See what the kind of man I am, stealing content from the YouTube comments. My own personal gain. Freaking typical, huh? Freaking typical. Hey, what's up? Jumping Crack Base with the 7-month resub on the Prime. Howdy! Thank you so much for resubscribing. Welcome back. Probe is pushed away here by the SCVs. It's going to be seen SCV just going to put down the command center as the probe moves up to the top. This probe gets away. The SCV of ByuN going to pull back home as well. We do see the cybernetics core from Zest already finishing off to the side of the main. I'm really intrigued to see what ByuN wants to pull out for a Game 3 build order, right? Because we've seen a couple different setups for him now so far. And ByuN is lately very creative with all of his builds. Like he has a good amount of them up his sleeve. I imagine it must be horrible to play against as a Protoss because like you just don't know what he's going to come out with next. Like you don't know what the next build's going to be. It's impossible to know, really. Gotta really scout every single time. Really be very aware of what's happening. So that's going to open Stargate 3rd game in a row. Maybe just really likes this Oracle into Blink setup. Reaper hops up into the main base. Gets pushed back down by the Stalker. I'm just going to see another Stalker patrolling away. Oracle is chrono boosting along here in the main base. So getting that going, the Reaper down through into the center. Obviously, the information gathered by ByuN is pretty incomplete at the moment.
Center upgrade complete.
He's just going to go into that Widow Mine setup. I mean, that keeps you safe against pretty much everything. You can Widow Mine drop. You've got Widow Mines defensively against the Oracles if you need it. If there are Oracles. And now this Reaper dove into the main base, so you just get the scout. Obviously, that's the whole point, to get the scout. The Widow Mine tries to guess where the Oracle will come from, but it goes down the left-hand side and will continue toward the main base. Now, there's a few Marines here, so even if he's missed the Oracle initially, that's okay. Marines should be able to turn this one back around. The Twilight Council from Zest is going to be finishing in the main fairly soon, as a 3rd Nexus sets up on the top side. Oh, now the Widow Mine gets the Oracle kill. Back in the center. What a catch. Hey, that's really nice, because now you've got to make a decision as Zest. Do you just play without vision and information until Blink is done? Or do you put the money into another Oracle, which obviously slows down your Stalker count? Yeah, Stalker is... Stalker count's obviously very important here. But so is kind of knowing what's coming your way. You know what's also important? Detection. Now, not really huge here because these Widow Mines don't have an armory, but if there was an armory, this could be bad. Oh no, Zest! No, he's focusing on Stalkers across the map as, well, all 3 Widow Mines are going to get out alive. There's still 1 Widow Mine that's yet to fire, by the way, as well. And if Zest doesn't realize that... No, Zest, don't! No, what? No, why? What? Why? Oh my god, like, what goes through your head right there, Zest? What? Can we just... I just want to try and run this through from Zest's point of view, right? Let's just run this through from Zest's point of view and just Try figure out what's going through his mind right now. I'm not trying to be mean. I appreciate that this is difficult. In slow-mo, he's like, cool, I'm denying a bunker. Oh shit, I just lost all my probes. I was like, okay, can I do anything over here? Well, I'm gonna kill a third SCV. That doesn't make up for anything. Okay, well, then he's like, okay, 2 Widow Mines load up. Did he just... Oh, that's why. He genuinely never saw the 3rd Widow Mine. So he has no idea. He actually just thinks it's the other Widow Mines. Zest, I'm sorry, I got angry at you in the moment. It wasn't as dumb as I thought it was. It wasn't really dumb at all. It was just unfortunate because there was 3 Widow Mines instead of 2. That's I actually kind of thought that he knew there was a 3rd mine, but looking at it from his point of view, you can see that he really just never saw the 3rd Widow Mine. He just saw the other 2 escape into the medevac, and that's why he pulls the probes there, just to say, no, get out of here. I don't want to deal with you. Put some damage on you. Maybe you can get the kill. Yeah, it actually makes sense. In a way, I mean, I would argue, why is ByuN dropping a Widow Mine that's not on that's on cooldown into a mineral line? But yeah, obviously in the heat of the moment, it's easy to overlook that, which is why I brought us back into this, to have a look to see what Zest saw. Yeah, that was... I'm sorry for shouting at you, Zest. I didn't mean it. GG's. ByuN 3-0 Kung Fu Cup champion in the